Good morning. On behalf of Steer Davies Gleave, I'd like to welcome you to this webinar about using gamification tools to encourage travel behavior change and how gamification is becoming a TDM tool for individualized engagement. My involvement in TDM began in 1986 in Los Angeles, and I have been involved in a variety of outreach and marketing initiatives over the years, and it's been interesting to see how changes in messaging and style and techniques have changed over time. And I think today, most interestingly, we have new technologies and the use of the social media to really engage individuals. Historically, we have worked through employers to reach commuters, and today with these technologies, we have better ability to get right to the commuter. Before we go into our presentation, I just have a few housekeeping items. First, can all of you hear me okay? If you can hear me, just send me a yes through the question box, which you can see off to the right-hand side of your screen. Great. It looks like you can hear me. So I'll go ahead and continue. Also in the question pane, if you have any questions at any time during the webinar, please type in your question. We are going to be leaving about 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the webinar to address your questions, so feel free to put them through at any time. We will also be conducting 3 straw polls during the presentation, and you're welcome to go ahead and respond to these. This simply provides all of us with a better perspective on who's in the audience, who's listening to this presentation, and where they're at with gamification or with TDM marketing in general. Following the webinar, if you have any questions, we have our contact information. We'll provide that to you again at the end of the presentation, and please never hesitate to give us a call. We'd be happy to provide information and to provide samples to help you as you advance your program. So before I turn it over to my colleague, Craig Nelson, I'd like to set a little bit of the context for how techniques and messaging has changed over time. And as many of you know, we started to see carpooling and TDM emerge during World War II as a gas-saving measure. And I always find these posters to be humorous. I actually got a gift of one of these, so I have one of the originals. But it's really kind of funny that to be patriotic is to carpool, and that's an interesting message. In the mid-1970s, with the energy crisis, TDM continued to grow and became part of many of the metropolitan planning organizations. And really, carpooling became something that was a bit of a necessity at the time during this energy crisis. Moving forward, what we're seeing today is a combination of different factors playing into how we approach commuters. What we've found is, first, that about half of our commuters today, and this really started back in the 80s, are what we would call the WIFMs. What's in it for me? These are the folks who would say, what am I going to save time? Am I going to save money? What do I get in return? And that really represents the majority of the commuters that we're working with. Typically across the nation, there's about 1/6 of all individuals that we might call the greens. They tend to be using alternative modes, and we can't ignore this group. We essentially need to pat them on the back and encourage them, and where possible, use them as ambassadors to reach out. Lastly, there's about 1/3 of commuters nationally that really won't leave their car, and in many cases we need to target our resources to those who are willing to make change, not those who might be a hard sell. And moving forward, today we're going to talk about gamification and how it supports individual engagement. We're going to talk through how badges and incentives and other items can motivate behavior change. Even something as simple as earning a platinum level cyclist badge that you can put on your profile demonstrates that that you are doing something good for the community and demonstrates the level of participation that you have. Again, it involves incentives and prizes, and I'm going to leave it right there and ask a question of all of you. So our first poll, if you could all answer. The question is, does your organization currently have a TDM plan or strategy in place? So your response categories are yes, no, in development, or it doesn't apply to you. So if you could quickly answer that question. And once we have the responses, I'm going to be turning my time over to Craig, who's going to continue to tell you more specifically about gamification. So I'm going to close this down in 10 seconds. Okay, so let's see what the responses are. 63% of you have a TDM plan in place, 9% do not, and 9% of you have it in development, and 1/5 it really doesn't apply to. So we are speaking to a group of very seasoned folks, people who do have plans in place, and a good mix within our audience today. So with that, let me introduce Craig Nelson, and Craig will take it from here.
Thanks very much, Stuart. Hi, I'm Craig Nelson. I'm the head of digital at Steer Davis Cleave. I'm currently in London, so we're just closing out our day, but it's a delight to be able to speak to you guys in the United States. So I've been working on gamification for about 5 years now, and we've seen the platform and the evolution of how gamification takes place really evolve. And what I want to do today is show to you how, through incentives, rewards, and friendly competition, it's possible to keep both the car driver and the cyclist happy. And hopefully this webinar will show you how. So what we're going to do is to give a brief introduction to gamification and digital engagement. We'll walk through of how gamification can lead towards goal achievement and the future of digital engagement and behavior change. We're going to be asking a few poll questions as well to keep you on your toes. So we'll look forward to asking you those. Okay, so what is gamification? Well, companies such as Nike, Google, Ford, they've all used gamification in various ways to focus their employees' minds, to motivate their customers, and engage with a broader audience. Companies such as Strava are taking it to new levels and creating real-time social leaderboards for cyclists around the world. Using your app, using your smartphone, you can track your ride, you can share it with other people, and you can win points and prizes for doing so. Gamification platforms tend to be online and in use by employers, TMAs, regional government organizations. Each of them will have an end goal in mind. It may be to kickstart modal shift, to raise awareness of alternative modes, to build team spirit, or to create a healthier population, both at work or in the community. Gamification will use traditional game mechanics such as points, badges, and importantly, leaderboards to implement underlying engagement models. Leaderboards are great for the competitive people out there. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But we'll show some examples of how they've been used. So what is gamification? Well, from our experience in the transportation sector, it's only recently that gamification has been used to encourage behavior change. So using game mechanics and supported by marketing communications, online challenges have been used to help, incentivize, and motivate staff to try alternative modes. We feel there's an excellent way of highlighting just how expensive single occupancy vehicle travel can be, and just the huge mileage that a single person can accumulate. They're also used to improve staff health, just to show how many calories can be saved on burns, as well as carbon emissions. So the challenges that we've run, interestingly, we found they've had an impact on team spirit within employers. People like to go up against other companies and departments to try and ascend to the top of the leaderboard, win that coveted #1 prize. But you have to bear in mind that there are other people who may be trying alternative mode just for the first time, and you should be looking to reward those guys as well. Spot prizes, online badges, and medals, they're all really important. And as I just said, it's important to reward people that try alternative modes at least once, log one trip online, and get themselves on the leaderboard, and enter them into either a prize draw, or just give them a really simple prize such as a water bottle or a gift voucher, just for taking part in the competition. Winning teams are really important, especially when you've got using employment-based gamification challenges. Make sure you have a leaderboard, make sure it's clear what teams are winning, and give them medals, award them. So how does it all work? Well, there's lots of different types of challenges for gamification. They tend to be regional, local, or employee focused. So they may cover a wide area, a very focused area, or they may take place within a government organisation, within an office, within an employer. They tend to either focus on single mode challenges, so you might have a bike to work challenge, or in our experience, more appropriately, a multimodal challenge. These type of challenges will really depend on the project goal, what you're going for, what your aims are, what you want your staff or your overall population to achieve. Timeframes, we have a few that are running the whole summer at the moment. In the UK, as you can imagine, summer's the best time for a bike challenge because during the winter, no one really wants to cycle. So do it when you're going to capture your audience, you can support their new shift to a new mode and reward them for doing so. It's important to use marketing and communications. Support the online system with traditional marketing efforts. So reach out to people through posters, through flyers, that type of thing. So people are made aware of the website. Face-to-face communication is great. Social media is very useful, but it's still very important to use face-to-face communications. So prizes, well, it's very simple. The way that we do it, you log a trip, you get a point. You build up your points and you can win prizes. We have tried mileage-based point systems, but they really tend to track the hardcore cyclists, people that just rack up loads of miles. So it's important to bear in mind who your audience is, who you're trying to attract, and who you're trying to try a different mode. So onto the kind of technical side of things, we feel that it's important that there are two key aspects to gamification. So for a gamification platform, a participant will need to have access to a personalized dashboard to see how they're getting on within their organization, to allow them to set personal goals, to get in touch with other participants, and to read interesting blog posts of people that are trying new modes. And then there's the other side of the coin, which is the administrator, the guy that has to run this program. It's important that you give them access to data, to access to blog posts, to be able to reply to people, support their behavior change. And also for using data to email participants, and importantly to survey users via the website and analyze the results. Just finding out what people are thinking about their new change of travel mode, if they're going to continue to do it, and then once the challenge is finished, backing up and asking another survey to see if that behavior change has worked. Okay, so onto our gamification platform, how we do things, SDG. We've run about 10 challenges so far. We've estimated that we engaged about 450 companies across these challenges and over 5,000 participants. We've got a host of data here to show what we've achieved and what our clients have achieved. These are all pretty interesting. The amount of carbon removed, the amount of carbon saved, vehicular miles saved, and calories burnt. It all adds up. And what's great about these challenges is that you can present this to the public or to your employer and say, look, this is what we've done. This is what we've saved. So we initially launched it in 2010, and it's been evolving ever since. As I said, all of our challenges are multimodal. We give prizes, we give spot prizes, we give online badges or medals, we award the winning team, and we support all this through social media and allow people to share things on Facebook. So challenges, from our experience, if they're pitched right, they will attract new adopters to new modes. Other challenges will favor those who already use alternative modes, such as a cycle challenge, so it's important to find a good balance. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just take you through one of our running challenges. So this is a challenge that's taking part in the UK at the moment. So the Travel Choice Challenge in a town called Peterborough. It's a relatively small town. The challenge is running all month. This is the website. It's live. You can go and visit it if you want and check it out. But I just want to take you through it very quickly. So this is the homepage. You can access your frequent trips from the homepage, quickly see how you're doing on the leaderboard, view Twitter updates, see the overall participation, see what's going on. You can sign up to the challenge. We have a very, very simple sign-up form. You can sign up to an organization, so you can either take part as an individual or an organization, and we list out all of the people, the companies that are taking part, and you can just select them and go ahead and join their team. I'm just going to log in and then take you through how you can log a point. So you just click on my profile, and all you do is you can select, okay, so I walked 1 mile, and then I took the bus 5 miles, and then at the other end, I walked another mile. It was a return trip, so it will count points for both ways. And if you want to, you can save the trip, so you can just quickly hit the button on the home page to log your trip as you hit as you go to the home page itself. So I'll log the trip. I've been congratulated, and I'm going to go to the leaderboard. Okay, so the leaderboard just outlines all of the top commuters, how they're doing. You can filter it by mode, so you can see the top bikers, and then you can see the car sharers. And then if you want to, you can look at the top teams. So these are all the companies that are taking part, their points, their rewards. Then you can check out the key stats. So people signed up, departments signed up, all of this type of thing. And then importantly, we found this to be really, really popular, is the challenge chat blog. So we've had already had people speaking today about how they love commuting by bike, how their daily commute has changed, and people respond to these, and you get a number of conversations being built up. So this guy, he's just turned 45, and he's not the slimmest person in the world. He's decided to lose weight, and he's encouraged other people to reply. So you can click on here, and it's supported by other people. So I did that as well. I bike to work, and you get support from other people. This was a really super simple thing that we added into the platform, and it's something which has really worked quite well. Okay, I'll just go back to the presentation, and then we can continue. Okay, we ran a regional challenge. So this was the biggest one we've done. We had over 2,500 people take part last June. And then we asked a series of survey questions, and we always do this with our gamification projects. So 50% of all participants who made a change, the remainder of them kept using their chosen alternative mode after the challenge. 60% of participants who made a switch to an alternative mode continued for at least 3 days a week after the challenge. 62% said they would continue for another 3 months, and that's really important. If you give the people the support and encouragement through the gamification challenge, they will keep it up for at least some of the days during the week. And then importantly, we're talking about goals and aims and helping people achieve them. 70% of all participants in our West of England challenge stated that it helped them achieve their aims. Okay, I'm going to now turn to some questions. So I'm just going to ask the first poll question. It should be coming up on your screen. Okay, just to get an idea from the audience, are you aware of what gamification is? Okay, getting some good results through. Give a little bit more time for people to answer. Okay, we'll go to the results. So almost 70% of you know what gamification is, but some of you didn't know how it could be applied in the TDM context, which is great. So hopefully you're learning about that now. I'm going to just go to another question, just following up from there. So we'll go to our third question. Have you ever run a commuter challenge or gamification program? So you can select no, yes, but it didn't get much engagement, and yes, it was successful. Results coming in. It's exciting. Okay, share the results. Okay, so 54% of you have run gamification challenges and become successful, which is fantastic. It's good stuff. Okay, let's move on. So I'd like to talk you through a project that we worked on in the United States with a large employer in Silicon Valley. I have to keep this project confidential as we ran it internally, but I just want to give you an overview of how this actually helped to achieve people's goals. The main setup for this challenge was the client wanted a new way to engage with employees, and to promote the various alternative modes they provide. So they provide a host of great stuff, such as rideshare, shuttle buses, all different types of things. And they were kind of struggling to market this. So we helped them develop the online platform and also the offline communications and marketing strategy. They're really interested in gamification, and particularly the power of on leaderboards to encourage some friendly competition within the company. Between people and also between departments. They knew they had a nice base of cyclists and walkers and transit users that they could use and turn into ambassadors. So we encouraged them to engage with those people and say, hey, why don't you encourage your buddies to bike to work with you one day, show them a good route, that type of thing. So the overall goal was to encourage employees to give it a go, to give a new mode a go that would be new to them. Try it at least once and then give us some feedback. So go to the blog and tell us what you thought about it and share your ideas with other people. So we developed concise marketing engagement for the client. We advised on all the messaging and timings for the social media posts. We used their internal Yammer system. So everything was done internally. People actually didn't need to log into to register with the website. We set up the system so it automatically logged in all of their staff members that went to the website. Systems used to communicate all the goals and what all the timings were like, just encouraging people to take part. We created the ambassadors to promote the challenge on the campus and online. We developed a broad range of digital and printed marketing materials, so stuff that could be put on walls, that could put on LCD screens around the campus. And we helped them set up their prizes. And interestingly, in the UK, when we do prizes, people like to win things like iPads and vouchers to go to the cinema. But this company, everyone had iPads, being at Silicon Valley, and they were just interested in dollars. So we set up, for the first time, we set up dollar prizes. So we had weekly prize draws for $50, an overall prize of around $500, and we had spotlight prizes of $250 and 3 of $100. So they had quite a big prize fund to encourage people to take part. We also attended a transportation fair to promote the challenge and collect feedback from people, so show the system, get them encouraged to start up. And also, we just provided them with ongoing support throughout the period. So how did we do? Well, we got 230 people to sign up, which the client was really happy with. That's 50 departments within the company took part, over 50,000 calories burned, 53,000 carbon emissions saved, that's kilograms, and over 132,000 car miles was saved during the program. So the idea was that people gave up their single occupancy vehicle trip and swapped it out for another alternative mode. So here's some of the marketing that we produced. We provided all this to them so they could print out, put it around the campus, use the strong imagery of the sneaker, and the sneaker came in different colors so they could have some variety, and used the main tag of make your commute the best part of your day. And here's the kind of the digital and printed materials that went around the campus. So you can see the digital screens there with the materials, and also the more printed traditional focus, and they were put around the campus to help promote the challenge. Okay, so this was a transportation fair that took place in the sunshine. They have this once a month to promote alternative modes. So you can see there was a barbecue, there was beer, there was bikes. I don't think they let too many people on the bikes after too many beers, but it was really exciting for us to attend this event alongside other suppliers and to show the gamification platform to some of the employees. So in the top right-hand corner, you can see 2 of our employees engaging with their employees using iPads and laptops. And if you came along to our demonstration, you got some goodies. So you got a free headset for your iPhone, or you got a water bottle. So we said to them, if you want one of these cool things, you have to take part in that demo. And that seemed to work pretty well. And we were pleased to see that a lot of the people that came along to the transportation fair actually took part in the challenge itself. So this is the most important thing. So it's getting the feedback from people and getting an idea of what they think of the challenge that they took part in. And we're just showing you a few real-world examples of the feedback that we got from our challenge. They normally focus on a few things. They focus on people that are trying to maybe lose weight, people that are trying to improve the environment, people that are trying to save money, People that just are interested in giving biking a go. Never thought it was possible, never thought that they'd be able to do it, but because they're taking part with a wider group of people and in a broader challenge with their buddies, with their colleagues, they get their behavior reinforced, and they find that they're taking part in a much bigger thing. So, there's a few quotes here. There's one person here who normally cycles to work, but really liked team spirit that got added into the equation. There's one person that really liked seeing the stats, seeing how many miles they traveled, and how much CO2 they saved. They found that fun. And the other person is interested in the fact that they got to share his experience with others, to join in and see what combined outcome that they could all achieve. So from the challenge that we did in Silicon Valley, we ran the blog that I just showed you that we were running in Peterborough. And I just wanted to share with you some different types of feedback that we got. So Sarah, up the top, she set herself a challenge to try as many new different ways to work, commute to work as possible. So she tried walking, carpooling, driving alone, all of these things. And she was asking how she could complete the deck by borrowing an electric vehicle or a motorcycle, because we just offered all of these different modes to people to log trips. Senthil, he really in fact enjoyed the fact when he was carpooling, he could share stories, maybe have sleep, and then also the satisfaction that he got of saving gas mileage, all the tolls. And again, he was saying how he likes to share the experience, finding out what people did at weekends. So it's opening people's eyes to what carpooling can be all about and what biking can be all about. So another couple here, Beth, she was really, really happy with the fact that she built up so many calories, she burned so many calories, she'd saved so many carbon emissions, and she really liked the fact that she could work as she rode to work, read books on her Kindle, especially with others. So she was really impressed with that. And the final quote that we got, feedback, was a thank you for the challenge from Beth. And she was hoping to win it. I think she did in the end. But again, she just reinforced the fact that she saved all of this money and she told everyone about it. So if you're going to run challenges like this, make sure that people can have a voice, either on a blog or via social media. Run a Facebook page or use your existing Twitter feed. It's all really useful to help spread the word about the challenge, and importantly, if you're looking to run it for a following year, it's always great evidence to show, look, this is how well we did, this is the type of person that took part, we should run it again. Okay, so the future of gamification. This is something which we're really interested in looking at SDG. We never stand still. We like to look at the future and how we can use different emerging technologies to improve our platform and to offer people more exciting ways to take part in gamification challenges. One of the things in the UK which you might be interested to learn is that a lot of gamification systems have apps which allow you to track your cycle route or your walk route to work, and then you don't have to type in the data, you can just take it from your smartphone. It's something that we're looking at quite seriously, and I'm sure all of you are wondering how this all fits in as well. We're kind of toying with the idea that producing yet another app for someone to have on their smartphone isn't necessarily a great idea. So we're speaking with people like Strava and Map My Ride, who already produce very good apps, and they have a massive user base, and seeing if we can hook into what they do and build it into our gamification platform. So if you are using your Strava app, which measures your cycle route or your running route to work, or your leisure commutes at the weekend, you can just press your button, finish your trip, and then just automatically gets added into the challenge leaderboard. And vice versa, we can work with Strava to collect cycle data, produce heat maps, show the client just how much cycling has improved to their employment site since the gamification challenge took place. Incentives is another thing which we're looking to do, which is potentially taking points. So you'll see on our leaderboards and and other leaderboards for gamification challenges that you can take points and potentially swap for money off vouchers. So if you say collect 1,000 points, you can go to the Gap and get 20% off your next purchase. So one of the things we're also interested in doing is working with local employers, stores to encourage local businesses to take part. So if you rack up all of these points, you can go to a local grocery store and get money off of your weekly shop. We're also in the US using the platform that we showed you to do a new thing with gamification. Well, what we've done anyway, is to promote new transit lines. So in King County, Washington, there's a new rapid transit line which is opening up. And combined with some very traditional marketing communications applications, we're also running gamification to encourage people to try the new rapid bus route. So the homepage will tell everyone about how the new rapid line transit route is going to be implemented, and also sign up to their program to get more information on other modes which are available, and just to give the line a ride and register their trip, and they can win a prize. So it's a way of launching a new transit line. And you could do the same thing for new cycle routes and that type of thing. As I've already mentioned, we're going to look to integrate all of things like Strava and Map My Ride into the website and incentivize and reward that way. We think that's quite exciting. And another project that we've been working on is to use the platform for employee trip logging administration. So you could run this system internally. We've been working with a hospital in Los Angeles, where the staff on a daily basis or on a monthly basis can very quickly, via an online calendar, just log their trips, and then they can swap out their points for incentive prizes. So at this particular hospital, a lot of the points are swapped for vacations, for trips to Disneyland, to book flights and that type of thing. Again, that's kind of run internally. It's not like a big public gamification platform, but there are opportunities within big organizations to do trip logging and also to monitor behavior, understand how people are traveling, and perhaps, maybe introduce new modes through the platform and gauge feedback. The other thing which we're also very interested in is wearable technology, and we're currently looking at the new Android platform to understand how we can use smart watches to record data and integrate challenges within the wearables Android smartwatch environment. So looking at how we can push messages to people's smartwatches to say, you're doing great, keep it up, that type of thing. So when you're thinking about gamification, you need to really do need to think about how things are changing in the market with smartphones and wearable technologies. Okay, so every good webinar, every good presentation, we like to give you some things to take away and maybe to whet your appetite, to start thinking about if you're going to be doing a new gamification challenge or improving the one you already have or starting from scratch, some things to think about. So firstly, think about how you could apply gamification to your organization if you haven't done so already. Consider your long-term TDM goals, your marketing plan, your strategy, and how it all fits in, how gamification could help you achieve those goals. How you could effectively motivate your staff or employees to achieve those goals through gamification, through prizes, the types of prizes that you could offer, be it dollar prizes, be it vouchers, involving local businesses, and that type of thing. I think the last thing we will leave you with is consider how you could deliver a challenge. They're quite resource intensive. The online platform tends to run itself, but you have to bear in mind that you may need internal resources for marketing. So could you ask your marketing team, your communications team to get on board to help you with the online gamification tool and also the offline marketing engagement? Could you encourage your staff, now the staff who may already be transit riders, who may bike to work, to become ambassadors, and not just to spread the word through the gamification process, but before and after. So, and then they encourage other people to become ambassadors, and the word spreads wider. Think about running transportation fairs. This was one of the more interesting things we found when working with a large employer in Silicon Valley, was that the transportation fair, probably because it offered barbecue and beer, but it did attract a lot of people, and a lot of people that hadn't really thought about alternative modes. Us being there to show the gamification platform was just one piece of the puzzle, but perhaps if you do work with alternative mode suppliers or software suppliers, you can get them along to just to demo what the potential is and how they can get involved. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking. Thank you very much for listening. I think we've been getting lots of questions and we're going to be answering them soon, but I'm just going to hand over to Stuart to wrap this up and to start the question and answer process. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Craig. We do have some very good questions. Before we get to that, I just want to point out on this last slide our contact information and reiterate, please contact us if we aren't able to fully respond to what you have today in the form of question or a request. So let me move to the questions. And the first question that we have has to do with the different geographies where we have implemented gamification. Suburban, urban, rural. And the question is there a noticeable difference in the success to gamification based on an urban, suburban, rural area?
Okay, so we've done challenges in a variety of environments, and we tend to find that no matter where the geography is, you tend to get about 75 to 80% of people that sign up actually logging trips, and that's one of the success rates that we measure. So you could get a bunch of people signing up, but the measure of success is how many people actually then log a trip, and then your follow-up survey is, okay, so now you've logged a trip, did you continue your behavior? The employer-based gamification systems projects that we've delivered have had a much higher kind of participation rate, and because you've got more of a captive audience, and it tends to be, if you're working on a campus, a lot easier to manage and to market. The West of England trial we did covered a huge area, and that gamification event was successful, and we had 80% of people who signed up logging a trip. But it's very difficult to get out to all of the employers to tell them about the challenge. You can have as many online resources as you want, but it's important that you do get some face-to-face time. So, yeah, I would say it's more complicated to focus on wider regions with a mixture of geographies, but if you do want good success, employers tend to be the more successful.
Very good. Moving on to our second question here. The question is it important to give attractive prizes in order for gamification to work? And if so, won't the participants revert to their old habits as soon as you stop giving prizes? Before I pass it to you, Craig, I just want to point out one element that I feel is quite important. When you look at the gamification tool and you look at the different offerings that you have, it is important to define what are the try incentives, what's going to get people to use it for the first time, what's going to bring them to this particular program. The second set really are those maintenance incentives. What do we need to provide? And in many cases, if we provide too much in the way of incentive, there could be some challenges. So, Craig, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Sure. Okay, so I guess there's two types of incentive. There's the material incentive, and then there's the incentive of being on a leaderboard or having your name on a blog, or have your name drawn out of a prize draw. We haven't really seen. So the West of England, I'll come back to West of England, where we had some really good results, where people kept on doing kept up with their behaviour change, and the prizes weren't big. There wasn't a huge budget to give big prizes. But we managed to give smaller prizes and encouragement and give the online incentives and medals, and for that was enough for people. And for a lot of people, just managing to cycle to work and do it a couple of times a week was a reward enough. So people like to respond. Some people respond to material rewards, and some people just respond well to the fact that they've been encouraged to try biking to work or try taking the bus to work. That's a good question, though. Thank you.
And Craig, what age group does gamification appeal to most?
Okay, so we do age profiling as well from the results that we get back, because we do like to ask people when they sign up what age they are. From the West of England challenge, off the top of my head, it was a mixture of 24 to 35-year-olds were interested, and then also we had a bunch of 40 to 50-year-olds who took part, and a lot of those were cyclists, and a lot of the younger folk were either had their own car and they wanted to save money, and they decided to either give the bus or the bike a go. But you'll find with the challenges that we've done, you get, I say, the highest percentage in the UK at least is people who are driving and they want to give biking to work a shot, and then after that it's normally giving transit a go. But as we run them, we tend to run them during the spring or summer. We tend to go for people will tend to give cycling a go.
And just a time check, we have about 9 minutes left for our questions. The next question is, seems like getting the critical mass of people participating is a key component in the success of gamification, but what if no one participates?
That's not something we've actually had a problem with, but I get your point. The key thing is you have to get people to sign up before the challenge starts. And what we found is that we've done a mixture of marketing campaigns where we've started to promote the challenge about a month and a half, maybe 2 months before it starts. And through Google Analytics, we can monitor sign-ups to the website. So we put advertisements on the sides of buses, all over the place, at least 2 months before, and people weren't signing up, but they were going to the website and seeing what it was all about. And then you kind of get this shock. It's like, oh my goodness, no one's signing up for the gamification challenge. But then the day before and the day it launches, you just get this huge influx of people signing up. So they tend to wait. So what we don't do now is we don't spend a huge amount of money promoting the thing 2 months before. You can do it about 3 weeks before and you get the same result. It doesn't have an effect on participation. But yeah, if no one participates, you haven't got a gamification challenge. But touch wood, we haven't had that issue as yet. So thanks for the question.
Craig, we have 2 questions that kind of go back to the geography. The first is, would it be helpful in doing a regional transit TDM approach? In the case of a city like Chicago, can we do this on that wide a scale?
Sure, that's possible. When we developed our platform, we made it scalable, so it will work for a single employer who may have 5,000 employees, and it can be scalable to a region, such as a large city like Chicago. As long as you can hook it into, if you've got an existing social media account that you can promote the challenge through, so you've got a captive audience, so you've got a large amount of people, and who are following a Twitter feed. So it might be a transit Twitter feed where people are following to get updates on transit. You could push a message out to the whole city saying, "Hey, we're doing a challenge," and as long as you've got a decent website and you've got a decent approach, the sky's the limit. But you just still need to remember that the wider you go, you have to watch your marketing budget and make sure that you do use social media more, and have a really good way of contacting employers. You may already have an existing list of those employers that you can get in touch with, just to let them know about the challenge. But yeah, it's scalable.
And then on the scalable question, taking it to the other end, how does gamification work at the employer level?
Yeah, it works well. We've done the one sole employer gamification challenge, as I showed you, which was up in San Francisco, and that was a bit of an experiment for us. So we think it worked quite well. I would say that the project that we did up in San Francisco, they didn't do enough on the ground marketing. We did the transportation fair and we had a few signs here and there, but I think they focused too much on social media, where they had a really good opportunity to use the ambassadors more to speak to people face to face. But I think they just had the ambassadors working on Yammer to spread the word. But employer level is fine, and then you can take it a step wider, such as Peterborough, which is employers going against employers, and you've also got the individual challenges as well. So you can have 2 leaderboards running at the same time, and then you can drop down one level further, and you could have 2 departments, 3 departments within a company competing within each other within the company. So you could have HR going up against finance, going up against marketing communications. So if you have, if you use databases correctly, use a simple user interface, you can get the gamification challenge working on a lot of different levels, which is fun.
Great. Craig, we're really limited on time here, so I'm going to do some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
The next one is for you as well. How do we avoid having to send incentives via email? How can gamification streamline that?
Okay, so with regards to sending people incentives by email, what we've done with key prizes is we've run events. So there might be, so in the UK we had one of our clients had a national bike race came through town, and we organised a stand where the winners came and collected their prizes. Because it was a local challenge, it was pretty easy to do. But I would suggest that you can email vouchers to people. So if they win, they can get a cinema voucher, which can be emailed, or a hot link to a company to download it, or at the other end of the scale, running events is pretty cool as well. You get some really good press from those too.
Okay, great. We won't be able to answer all the questions because we have quite a few that are coming in, but let me try to see if we can answer at least one more question.
Yeah, that's fine.
Before we move it on. Let me see here. There's so many good questions.
They're all really good.
Yes, it's hard to pick. Let me ask this question. How can we make the sign-up registration forms quicker and less cumbersome when running a regional commuter challenge?
Okay, so this is one thing we run up against quite a lot, and what we tend to do is be very, very polite with the client and say, please don't have a very simple, very complicated sign-up form because people will not take part in the challenge. The longer you make your sign-up form, the more people get bored and they don't want to complete it. I would recommend that if you want to do quick sign-ups, you can use things like Facebook Connect or Google+. So people who already have some form of online identification can use that to hook into the platform. We have done that in a couple of places. We use Facebook Connect, so you have the option, either you can sign up using this form or you can use your Facebook account to log into the challenge. And as I said, we're going to start using Strava as well, so you can use your Strava account to log in. But if you do need a form, make it simple. When we worked with the large employer up in San Francisco, we managed to get rid of the form altogether. The client said, we don't want a form, so we devised a way of hooking into their internal security system. So if they logged onto the website from their if they're at their work computer or their smartphone, they're just automatically registered, and that helped get more people to sign up.
Great. Well, we're out of time. As I mentioned earlier, we will respond back to you individually on any questions we couldn't answer today. And please remember our contact information. You're welcome to follow up with us. Again, if you have questions or desire some samples, we can certainly provide that to you. But again, on behalf of Steers Davies Gleave, I would like to thank all of you for attending our webinar today.